It's Neco time! Hello and welcome to another figure review. Today we're gonna have a look at the Figma number 513. It's AZB. It's a weird name, but when I say Neco, I mean the illustrator who brought us the false Lambda line. Well, we only have one figure so far, but it's gonna be a line at some point. Also doing the work for like Figma Ichi, and he has like a bunch of other cool characters. Go check him out. But we have AZB over here, which I picked up for the exact reason that I picked up all the other one. I really like the design, really like the illustrations of Neco, very talented guy. And it adds a lot of cool stuff to the Figma lineup in terms of weaponry. She has like a huge kind of rocket launcher thing which carries blades and whatnot. And the design of the character itself is also fairly simple but interesting. Let's have a look at it. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, or I'm coming for you. I definitely dig this design. She can look menacing in some way, but let's have a look at the size. She stands at about 14.5 centimeters to the top of her head, which means we are going up to 5.6 inches tall. Size comparisons. Here's Jolter, Figma Itch, an SH Figure Arts Son Goku, Metal Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Darkseid. Oh, look in detail is a thing that I really gotta give him props for is the idea overall. To do like the schoolgirl kind of military stuff. You know, it has been done before, but I feel like it has its own kind of identity with this one. And it also looks like, kind of reminds me a little bit of Metal Gear with some parts here and there. Let's look at the face sculpt first. She has the pink eyes with a little bit of a cold look on it. Have these clippers in the hair, which are very nicely molded and painted, even have some detail written on there. And it also has metallic. It's a bit of a shine to it. Have the silver in there with what's supposed to be, I don't know if this is supposed to be cameras or lights or whatnot. It looks cool though, you know, it's some sci-fi stuff. The hair is wrapping around her head, really going down over here. And I have a bit of a problem with the mold, because it doesn't look as bad on the camera, but it is connected. You can see the line, and it does look somewhat rough. I don't know. That was just my first impression taking it out of the box. I love the two-tone in the hair also. It's not too much, but you have like the lighter gray, and on the tips it goes into a darker gray, which is not as well done also for the rest of the hair. So you know, the hair is just kind of hit and miss, and I didn't want to really disconnect the hat. But since I'm at it, you also have this collar, or if it's a scarf, I don't know what's supposed to be. You could take this off. It's two pieces. It is connected to the neck, so it just kind of rests on there. If you're bothered by it, there's the option to take it off, but it's really supposed to be a piece of the character. Boba's with an emblem on her light boobie, and then you have some more military gear. I think this is like a vest, like a military vest, maybe like a bulletproof vest. I'm not really sure about it, but you have a bunch of pouches on there, just molded, and it does wrap around the character as you have a couple of layers over here. Then it's just soft plastic, and the rest of the figure you have the hard plastic in the back. For the jacket, also like a multi-layered jacket, you have the top part, which is soft plastic, and you have the lower parts over here, which are hard plastic, which you can move around. And there's the white line on there, and some more on the side with some more writing, which I don't really know. AZ, yeah, that's kind of like the name of the game. And you have the plain gray gloves, have a little bit of detail on there as well, kind of like some buckles over here on the side, and some more writing on the hoodie. The buttons on this side, I mean, overall, I don't really have any issues with the paint on this one. I'm very happy with it. It is all kind of muted tones, but you know, you have the muted kind of black and gray, but you have like a very pale skin tone and the pink eyes, which I feel like it works so well together, and I feel like that's really why it's making an impression on me as we go down to the legs. And it's Pantsu time. Classic white Pantsu, nothing too fancy going on there, but it does get the job done. Also, you have a little bit of color issues. A little bit of black line over there. We got the thigh bands and some more pouches for ammo and whatnot going down to the legs, the bare legs, not really anything going on over there, and the white socks with them shoes. Still going back to the aesthetic of this is being like a little bit of a schoolgirl, but also heavily armored and dangerous. So for the articulation, as I mentioned with the head, it doesn't really budge on its own unless you take off the scarf, but it is the simple ball hinge with a connection into a ball into the head, so you can wiggle it back and forth. It does tilt side to side a little bit, and it would go all the way around, but you know, it's better to take off the scarf if you want to do that. But you also have some neck articulation, which goes mostly back and forth, has a little bit of tilting, and that's about it. I mean, it's really a design thing. You have the scarf, so you can't really move that. For your shoulder articulation, you have the big ball joint, ball hinge in there, which is connected to the chest area. And it doesn't end on another ball. This just kind of pegged in, which is weird. It's a pretty huge downgrade compared to other ones. As such, cannot really bring it back and forth, and you cannot really rotate it around. Then you have a swivel over here in the thigh, which doesn't really cut up the sculpt too much, so I'm okay with that. A big ball hinge in the elbows, you can bring that up and down. It looks fairly seamless. And the hand is on another ball hinge, goes up and down, rotates all the way around. The chest area can be brought forward quite a bit, but you have all the soft plastic under there. Don't get caught up in it. It does also leave a little bit of a, well, actually huge gap, but as I'm telling you, this piece is not really closed on the side, so it's really up to you to kind of wiggle it back into position. It can be a bit annoying, but hey, it does get some good motion out of it. It does go side to side, and does also tilt side to side. Now under the jacket, you can reveal some of the inside of the figure. You have the big ball hinge in there in the entire torso area. But then I want to have a look at the jacket. You have these ball hinges connected to that. So they do rotate out to the side, and it does go up and down. It's fairly stiff because there's a lot of plastic in the way, but you can rotate it and get some really cool action poses out of it if you position it right. That's kind of like the thing with these ball joints, kind of ball hinges. You have to move it in the right direction to get something out of it, but it does work. For the hip part, it's very movable since the shirt is soft plastic, so it doesn't get into the way of your movement side to side. Also rotates all the way. The legs go up, does go out to the side, and you can also rotate it on the ball, and it does also go to the back. Almost forgot about the back. Then you have the knee joint as a ball hinge, and another ball hinge in the foot. Goes up and down, and does also have some tilting to it. For the accessories, it really fits the theme, but we're starting off with the regular stuff. You got the face sculpts, one kind of like a mischievous face and one like a smiling face with the eyes closed. I kind of like both of these, especially like this one. It's just kind of, it looks kind of evil. It's like an evil intent laugh. I love it. Then you got your standard amount of hands. You got the holding hands, you got the ones with the trigger finger, open hands, and fist hands. Then we have a sword, which has a nice kind of like a gunmetal look to it. Dark gray metallic. It's fairly sharp on top. It's also a little bit, I wouldn't say rubbery, but you know, there's some movement in it, but it is hard plastic, so don't break it off. And the paint on it is good. There's once again a little bit of detail on it, a little bit of writing, and it does have a good look. Once again, it brings back some feelings about Metal Gear. Also with this thing, it is supposed to hold a sword, but also has a gun. So as it holds a sword, it's supposed to be a scabbard, right? Have I finally learned that word? Do I not have to call it sword holster? Let me know in the comments if it's actually scabbard, if I got this right for once. I'm trying to evolve my vocabulary. But yeah, the sword goes in there, and then you have like this tiny piece which still has the gun, which is a gun because you also have a gun effect for it. You kind of just drape that over there, one way or the other. I don't really know which one right now. Always the same problem on the camera. There you go. The blast effect also, like the gun effect, it's very orangey. It's very, very orangey. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But you also have a gun, like a double barrel gun. Has the same style as the rest of it, but it does look good. A little bit of writing on there on the side. Got the trigger down there. How are you supposed to hold it then? If the trigger's up there, you're supposed to hold it like that, I guess. Oh, and I almost forgot what you can also do is remove this, and then you have a little gun, and then the trigger finger actually makes a lot more sense. And then you can also combine these two somehow. There you go, you have like the big combination of the gun and the scabbard, and the big pew-pews. And there's also like a firing effect for the double barrel over here, which looks the same. I can't get it on, but you know, Same thing. It's very orangey. I wish it was a little bit more C4. Like, I don't know, orange, just like straight up orange, very bright. But as you know, that's really a matter of taste, I think. Oh, and of course, there's also the usual Figma base and Figma back combination, just like every other Figma. Final thoughts! And this one is another classic one of like, well, I wasn't even going to get this, but then I get it, and I'm like, holy crap, this is actually awesome. So, I'm in love. I'm just in love with the design of Neco, the illustrations. It has its own charm to it. Yes, the overall look of the figure is, you know, it's mostly black. There's not a lot of paint on it. And also, it's basically like a schoolgirl with some weaponry, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it really just like the style that makes it pop for me. The style that really elevates it. And it does make it look different, especially with the darker tone of the clothing in general. It sure as hell stand out in a lot of colorful Figma characters. Other than that, the articulation is hit and miss. You know, they did some weird stuff like with the shoulder joints, but it's not really noticeable as much. Therefore, they left a lot of room with the entire torso. That's really fairly nimble. Same with the jacket, gets in some very good poses. And I mean, finally, the accessories is everything it needs to be, I feel like. You have the big sword, you have the big gun, you have the smaller gun, and then you have the double barrel gun, and some blast effects, which aren't the greatest, and a standard amount of hands. But it's really cool accessories in general. It's something you won't really get with many other characters. It's a futuristic kind of gun-looking scabbard, and you know, that's always fun. Big fan of that. So overall, yes, I do recommend this figure because it, as I already said, I feel like it does really stand out in the Figma collection, unless of course we get a lot more of the Neco characters, which I hope, because I think they look cool. And that's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever AZB wants.